A snitch is killed, a child is found, and we are back. Mayans MC, we have a special guest for you, so stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
This song, I forget how good it is.
It's so good.
And it's so appropriate. Sal, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Guys, we have Sal Chacon as our special co-host. Jose is out today, but who better to replace him than Pablo from the Mayans MC? So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Linda.
Welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. And it was actually great to watch the show with you and actually see you there and there and there and there. I was like, okay, I got this. So overall thoughts of this week's episode?
Well, I mean,
because we opened with you.
Right. Well, I think it opens more of the story for the audience, to start connecting more dots, for everybody that is wondering. It's like, what is going on?
Absolutely.
It's just a bit more of that insight.
Absolutely. And guys, we are sorry we weren't here last week. We apologize, but we are going to do an overall recap of episode 5 as we move forward with episode 6. So last episode, it opened with a possum playing dead. Right. And we saw Easy go see Emily in the hospital and kind of get ratted out by Nestor in that whole situation. And you saw in that situation how they still have so much love for each other. And he would never turn her over to flip on the family.
Right.
Like, he just cares too much about her.
Exactly.
And I thought, wow, okay, this is not going to end well. You know what I mean? And it almost didn't. So Nestor snitches and tells Miguel that Easy snuck in there. And Miguel has this little tete-a-tete with Easy saying, let's not make that happen again.
Yeah.
And then we find out at the end of the episode that Emily goes to see Easy again.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that danger?
Yeah, could be. Could be. I mean, it's one of those that they are definitely playing with fire.
Right.
And that could go wrong any minute.
But they have so much history. So we learned in this episode that, she was pregnant, she had an abortion. He pushed her away when he was going to prison. And had those things all not make that perfect storm, maybe they would be together today.
Who knows? Maybe. Right.
Like, who knows? But we are where we are. And then we see Angel and Cole in that episode and how they kind of join forces in the drug industry. But before then, you guys all almost get killed across the border.
Yeah, it was one of those that we almost did, but, we had it under control.
Yeah, the child killers. I told you earlier that I was going to say #child killers. We saw that last episode, and we'll talk about it a little bit this episode. How was it to film that scene for you? And talk a little bit about how it is to play Pablo.
Sure. Well, I mean, that scene was great. It was Batan directing, and we shot it. Part of it we shot it here in LA, and part of it we shot in Mexico City. And it was dynamic, and it was like loud explosives, but it was fun. And I think every time that you're like on set and having to choreograph, like a fight scene or a shooting scene, and then you have multiple people involved and glass falling down. So it's always fun to see how all that comes together.
Yeah. And then how do you prepare to get into character as Pablo? And when you read for his character, what struck you as, I want to play him?
Well, I think, as you can see for what Pablo is in the story, Pablo is not that there's much written in the page. It's just more of an anchor for Adelita. It's just a support for her, her right hand man.
Yeah.
And for me, the thought was like, well, this man has to be very loyal to the cause, and he definitely has a deep connection to Adelita in the sense that, they have a different history that we don't know about, and that is not like not that it be romantic or anything. It's just more of a brother sister type of thing, and I feel that's who he is. He's looking out for her, and he's making sure that things are getting done, and then everybody is in position for anything that needs to happen to advance their cause.
Yeah, and in this scene specifically, I knew something was going to happen. I wasn't sure what. I was researching. So sometimes when I watch a show, I research it. And I was noticing that the state police, the head of the state police, is only credited for one episode. I said, he's going to do something wrong. And this is not going to turn out well. And lo and behold, you guys came in droves, and who knew that was going to be happening? It was a good scene. We learn in episode 5 that Adelita is really connected with the church. Rodrigo, who I'm assuming is the archbishop, and her real name is Luisa.
Right.
So we learned that in 5, and then she talks about it in 6, which we'll get to as well. But what's that story about, and is the church part of the resistance behind the scenes?
Well, I mean, I think that's something that the audience will discover as the show advances.
Okay.
But it's important to keep in mind that connection from Adelita with Rodrigo. It's something to pay attention to.
Okay.
But yeah, that's something that you'll discover
In time. I loved seeing Chucky again in episode 5, and the club talks to Chucky and tells him about the Coco meeting with the woman and fighting with that woman. And the club really does think that, at least in this point, that Coco might be the leak. And we're hoping that they don't do anything before they really find out that that's his daughter and he's not the leak. We see that Emily and Devante talk about Miguel and how she feels like he's going off the rails. We see a little bit more of that in episode 6. What do you think? Do you think Miguel's going off the rails?
I think Miguel wants to get his son back.
Okay.
Most importantly, because he is a family man, at the end of the day. So, a father that is desperate,
desperate means
anything could happen.
Anything.
Exactly.
And we saw that a little bit as well at the end of this episode, where the husband and wife, Emily and Miguel, start to blame each other.
Right.
And it actually gets physical, which I was surprised that they were actually going to go there.
Right.
Because you wouldn't think that at the end of the day that violence would turn over to family. But violence is violence.
It is. But I also think, Miguel he keeps his cool. He's a very smart guy, and, he knows that it's, in a way, it's part of the game, and that's a possibility, that something like that could happen.
Anything can happen, right?
Exactly.
So that is our recap of episode 5. I think we really brought us to date. Let's jump into episode 6, Gato and Mis. And I learned from you that the titles are all Mayan.
I'm not sure if they're Mayan, but I know that they're not. They're. I would think they're Nahuatl. I think, but,
okay,
but I'm not positive. Yeah. It's the translation to each one of the animal names,
which I think is super cool. And I think that we also, and I am going to ask you this. So we see in the opening of all the episodes that there is an animal. So there was an owl. Last week there was a possum. This week there was a cat. And so my question to you is, what is the significance of having these animals in every one of these episodes so far?
Right. I think from my point of view, I believe that each animal is sort of like our guide through the episode. We're sort of seeing the story through their points of view.
Mm-hmm.
They're sneaky. You see them observing here, watching there, walking through a street. Wherever this connections and dots are getting together in the story, you kind of see them observing. So I think that it's kind of like the spiritual guide of the episode. And I feel also because, at least I think the connection with the pre-Hispanic culture, that they were so in touch with nature and animals and, the gods, that maybe could be a part of it.
I'm loving that. I think we're gonna go with that. It's absolutely feasible. We open this episode with yourself and Adelita,
Right.
and they want to get word to the rabbit. And then we also see Coco and Angel kind of connecting. So let's start there. So, how was it to film that scene? And what was the significance of getting word to the rabbit?
Well, all those scenes in the camp and in the desert, they're always amazing because we're literally in the middle of nowhere, and you see all these people that work so hard to put together these wonderful sets, and then we're literally like if we were in a camp somewhere, like getting ready for warfare or something.
Right.
So that's very cool, and everybody's just putting so much effort in making it look amazing and easy. So that's that in terms of like shooting. It's always so much fun, and being on set with so many talented people, it's just it's so lucky.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. No complaints there.
No complaints at all. And I think it's important to get word because we're definitely up to something, and we need to make sure that all those little things we're setting up are ready to go when they need to go.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the kid snitch, because, you saw that it was really affecting me. So we see that Adelita gives her location. She writes it down as she's about to leave, and we see that the little kid snitch, and I know he has a name now.
Andres.
What is it? Andres. We see that he sees the location, and we know he's going to do something about it. At this point, your character, does he know anything about the little children snitches? And if not, what was your reaction when you were watching this?
Well, I think at that point, we've been already sort of like they're kind of finding us, even though we're good at hiding, they're kind of finding us. So we are at a point where we are figuring that we have someone in there that it's probably leaking information.
Okay.
And the only one that could be is the last person that got added to the group.
Okay.
So we sort of have an idea that that's what's happening, and we
test the theory.
We test the theory.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a bit.
Right.
And then we have Angel, who comes to the camp to meet Adelita and basically says, we need to talk. My guys are doubting me. I need to know what's going on. And he says, I need to know what the plan is, the soup and the nuts. And I was surprised that she was willing to tell him everything. She was like an open book. What do you think from watching? What would you think that their history was? Because that hasn't been revealed yet.
Well, I think apart from whatever history they have, I think, she's also under the gun.
Okay.
We are with these kids we're picking up that are been, left orphans by the cartel, and we're running away, and we're running this operation, and they are helping us. And without them, we probably couldn't advance the cause where we wanted to advance. Mm-hmm. So I think she's in a circumstance where she kind of has to show him that she also trusts him because he has been there for her, and for us, los olvidados. So I feel that because she knows the type of person he is, he's like, I'm going to tell you this.
Right, because he's loyal.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's showing that he's loyal, at least to the MC and to her.
Right, and also he's very clear. It's like I need answers because I'm gonna be the ones in trouble very soon if I don't know what I'm dealing with.
Right,
so she honors that.
And she saved him last episode.
Yes.
So
yes,
there's that. Let's talk a little bit about Bishop. So we have Bishop and Trank. And they're trying to keep Angel and Coco close because they think that those two are the leak.
Right.
What's your take on that?
I mean, they certainly have reasons for thinking that.
Yeah.
They're not sure, and they're not certain yet. It all kind of like points in that direction. So I feel those two are watching closely to make sure that they get that person soon.
The leak soon.
Yeah.
I just hope, like I said earlier, that they don't make a judgment
Yeah.
before they know all the facts,
Exactly.
which, can happen. I love seeing Felipe and Kevin. So we see Kevin showing up at Felipe's doorstep. He's drinking, said he has some vacation days, and he's basically coming unhinged. Why do you think Kevin's coming unhinged?
I think he's under a lot of pressure as well. And I think also, for Kevin, I think at the end of the day, it's his family, so that's turning him upside down. At least, that's what I take from it. And I think Felipe understands the position that he's in.
Yeah.
And, he's not happy, definitely, but he's also compassionate. And at the end of the day, I think it comes back to family.
It does.
Because it is his family.
It is his family, and I think that everyone's trying to take care of their own family. Like
Yes.
Felipe's trying to take care of himself and his sons, and Kevin is trying to do the same with his family. Although they're related as well, right?
Yeah, they're cousins.
So I think that in doing all of this and setting up, Easy and trying to make Easy flip, and maybe the way that they had their deal has changed. I think that that's probably part of what's eating him up as well.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
And I think that he, like you said, is under the gun with the U.S. attorney really trying to leverage what's happening between the rebels and Galindo to try to take Galindo down. But what I think is interesting is that the government and the law isn't really looking at what you guys are doing. If they just sit back, maybe they don't have to take Galindo down.
Possibly. I think, as usually the law enforcement is focused in like this thing
tunnel
instead
vision.
of turning around.
Yeah.
So I feel that could be something that could change, but who knows?
We know. Let's talk about Emily. I found in this episode, so we see Emily and Devante and her really talking business with Devante and kind of breaking down if the mayor gets buried or burned, that deal with the Galindos might go south. And I felt like she made a conscious effort in this episode to be the type of wife that's all in.
Right. I think she's very strong, and she's also desperate because she wants her son more than anything in the world, like any mom would. And also she's a strong and smart woman, and she's looking out for her and for her kid and for her husband, which for her, it's her family, and it goes back to family.
Yeah.
So I think it's also something to be cautious about, because then again, in desperation, she could make choices that,
I feel like you want to tell us a little bit more. I feel like, here's the thing. I think that she, in what I see moving forward, is that she is going to be more hands-on even and when she gets her son back, because she knows that there are things that are hidden from her, and then she doesn't want that. She wants to know everything now.
Yeah. It's that same trust.
Yeah.
You want me to be there for you all in. You gotta be all in too.
Yeah. Crazy. So we see Adelita at the market with the kids, and then I keep calling him the snitch kid because I'm so mad that this happened. But he uses the phone and basically snitches on their location.
Right.
And then fast forward, you guys figure it out. And you find out that the vendor didn't have two sons. He had one son that died with him.
Right.
So right there, we knew that this kid was an imposter. And the little girl, what's her name?
Minnie.
Minnie. mini hashtag killer kid shoves her friend over, and that's the end of him.
Yeah, painful.
It was so hard to watch.
Painful. I think the kids, it's not that they're like, killers just because they're killers. I feel they've been pushed to that. They're surviving.
And it's part of the resistance, right? So their family, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're all orphans. So they've had some type of tragedy, and now they've become almost like a family that have to protect each other. And part of that is violence, unfortunately.
Part of it is, and I feel, it's something that she, because saw him there, invited him in, and we'll take care of you, because that's what we do to kids that get an unfortunate event, like lose your parents
through the drug
trade and the cartel and the whole thing. So for her, it kind of hurt her, because even Adelita in the previous episode, she's like, we can't take him on. We have so many already, we just can't. And she's like, but we have to. He lost his parents, and then we brought him in. We take him in, and then he turns out to be a Galindo
snitch.
A Galindo snitch.
Oh, so terrible. So traumatized. The drama. Guys, speaking of drama, hey AfterBuzzers, our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from drama, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There is no network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel, and check out other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk. And guys, we're on Spotify now, iTunes, so please check us out. We are all over. You can take us with you on your drive. Back to Adelita. Adelita. So she calls Miguel in this episode, and she basically wants $7 million in cryptocurrency within like hours, by 4 p.m. to get his son back.
Right.
And he has to come alone, and he has to cross the border alone. What were your thoughts when you were watching that?
Dangerous. And he knows it too, probably, because he's seen how the rebels are smart, and Adelita is smart. So,
But did you think that he thought, because his response was, after I get my son, basically slaughter them all?
Because that's the killer in him. That's the drug lord in him.
But she's playing a chess game, and he's almost playing a checker game. Like, the answer is not always just automatically slaughter them, because obviously she's steps ahead already. She's thought this through. This is not something that she's put together, or you guys have put together, haphazard.
Right.
So,
but I think that's what upsets him, because we're two steps ahead of the game, and then it's not only that, she's demanding things, and she has his son. And it kind of hurts him, and I think in a way that's why
he's not thinking clearly.
That's why he's like, just slaughter them.
Slaughter them all.
Yeah.
And then we have Easy and Letty. So Letty comes back, and we know that Letty is Coco's daughter,
right?
And she's up to it in problems. So we see that she comes there, and you think like, hey, I'm gonna reconnect with my dad, but no, she was basically attacked by some guy that she's getting a ride with, and she ended up killing him, and he was in the trunk of her grandma, Coco's mother's car.
Yeah.
Right? So Easy basically is going to help her fix the situation, and they get into this big brahuhu.
Yeah, exactly.
For a lack of a better word. And Easy almost gets caught. That chase scene, favorite scene.
It was great.
It was great.
It was so cool.
Where do you think we're going with this whole Letty and Coco?
Well, Coco said it himself. The family can be deadly. So, I think he wants to take care of her and make sure that she doesn't wind up, in the wrong place.
Yeah. And I think, though, that she is street smart. And I think that, when he said that let's do things differently, but we have to be open and honest and no more lies and secrets, I think it might work for them because they're both coming from a street mentality. And before he thought he was protecting his children by being away from them, but maybe this is going to work because they're kind of coming from the same place.
Correct.
And they both don't want to be alone. Do you know what I mean? So
exactly.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. That's just my thoughts. And then let's talk a little bit about, there's just so much. Let's talk about Miguel going and getting his son and being set up with the drugs. So we knew something was happening, but we didn't know what it was going to be.
Correct.
But how genius for, the drug cartel leader to be walking across the border, finally having hands on Cristobal just to get pulled over and put in jail for drugs.
Well, that's how he's underestimating the rebels.
Yeah.
And that's what it's upsetting him, that we're ahead of the game.
And what's interesting is you guys probably used his own drugs that you stole from him and put in the blanket and gave back to him with his kid.
That's right.
And it's amazing to me how connected the rebels are. So we've talked a little bit about the church, but even on the border patrol people.
Exactly. They're moving a lot of pieces. So, it's something that Galindo definitely didn't expect.
So what can we expect?
We're going to have to watch.
Good answer. Guys, we have so much that we had to cover, but I do want to talk a little bit, Salvadore, about your up-and-coming projects.
Sure.
So, I looked you up, so The Tingle, Jesse James, Bad Labor, The Captain's Chronology, and The Exquisite Continent.
Right. All sorts of different projects there. Yeah, but The Tingle, it's a film that British director is putting together.
Okay.
And it's still, I think, in the pre-production phase. We don't have a shoot date for that, but hopefully it'll come next year.
Okay.
And the one that I actually wanted to talk to you about is Jesse James. That's something that both my brother and I directed.
Oh, excellent.
And it's a story that a very good friend of ours, Jesus Rodriguez, he wrote for the stage. It was a play originally for the micro theater. I don't know if you're familiar with the micro theater.
Yep.
Wrote it for the micro theater, and we performed it, him and I. And at some point, it was like, let's just make it into a film, and we did. So we're in post with that, and
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a story that, not that it hasn't been told before, it's just a little different. It's a sex fluid prostitute and his, decaying relationship with her pimp, and how she's put in certain circumstances that now her life has been clearly threatened, so there's choices and decisions to be made in order to either, die or live.
Right.
So it's a bit of a survival little piece there. So that's exciting.
Very exciting. Well, it sounds like you've been very, very busy. We have some fan questions. How has working on Mayans MC changed your acting experience?
I mean, just being surrounded by so many talented people at once in the same room is just amazing, and see them how they work, it just adds more to the way what you bring into a scene.
The table,
Exactly. It just makes you want to be better and better prepared all the time, and know exactly what you're doing. It was wonderful.
And another question, they're asking, your character first appeared in the second episode. How excited were you? And please lay out the mindset of your character.
I was beyond excited. It was great. And I don't have a TV, so it's like, oh my God, when am I gonna watch the show?
Yeah.
So, but it was very exciting, and I think the mindset of Pablo, like I said, is I am here to make sure that this thing that we're doing
Yep.
happens, and it happens well and smoothly, and I'm also here to make sure that nothing will affect it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then last question here for the fans. How did you envelop the essence of Pablo? Who is he?
Well, I think Pablo, as a person, he's loyal, and he's caring, and he is definitely passionate about his beliefs, which is why he's in this rebel group, helping advance certain cause, So I think that those human qualities, or, qualities, you can call them emotions, are what drive him.
Yeah. Excellent answer. I love it. Guys, we ended this episode seeing the DEA guy from Sons of Anarchy show up at the clubhouse and kind of say, "What's up, Easy?" I was shocked. I was happy. What were your thoughts when you saw that?
Yeah, it was shocking.
More trouble to come.
More
eyes.
More stuff to watch.
More eyes.
Yeah,
More eyes on the club.
Exactly. Yeah, it was great, and I think it's also part of the brilliance of how the show is put together.
Yeah, Kurt is a genius.
Sure is.
How is it working with Kurt?
Right, I only see Kurt on the reads,
Okay.
but he just drives he drives his team, him and Elgin, who's the co-creator of Mayans. They just know exactly what they want, and they have a very clear vision for the show. And they also want to make sure that the show, it's its own show and not Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. And, just to know it's like, this is where we're putting it, and this is the direction we're taking, and this is how it's done, basically.
I love it.
So that's amazing.
I love it. Guys, I wanted to give a few shout outs to our fans. I know you guys are in the live chat, and I know that you guys were a little upset that we didn't have a show last week, but we are back, and we promise not to miss another one. Wanted to shout out MC 1022. Aaron Rodriguez, yes, I watched the episode last week, and I watched it this week. Shout out to Chicago Panther and Black Robin and Scott Sean DeRoss. I think that's what it was on Twitter. You were a little worried where we are. We were back. So keep hitting us up, guys. We love hearing from you, and we always definitely reach back out to you. And I wanted to do a few predictions. And I'm calling these predictions Sal's predictions because I'm going to put them on the hot spot.
Oh, my God.
It's not going to be from Pablo's perspective, but from Sal's perspective. So what do you think is going to happen next? What do you think is going to happen in general?
I think a lot of things are going to happen.
Okay.
But definitely, the waters are not going to be clear.
That's a great general non-answer. I love it. I think that Easy and Emily, how about I'll do this? And then you can be like, oh, okay. I think that Easy and Emily are going to grow closer. And I think that they may cross the line. I think that she's going to be kind of sick. Miguel's going to do something that's going to make her question family. And she's going to run into Easy's arms. I think that Felipe and Kevin, something's happening there. They're bonding, and perhaps they're going to have some way to get Easy out of this deal with the FBI. Perhaps.
Perhaps. I mean, I don't know.
You're not giving me anything at all. It's terrible. I think that, what else do I have? Devontae. So Devontae is going to try to slaughter your group. But I think that it's going to backfire because, like we've talked about, you guys are steps ahead. And in that, they're going to lose a little bit more leverage from, like, the Galindo family power. Oh, he
Could be.
You guys who are listening on the podcast, he kind of like tilted his head in agreement, just FYI.
In agreement.
He didn't verbally agree, but the head tilt, you know what I mean. Guys, I think that we have wrapped it up. Where
Neat.
can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Chacon Sal.
Excellent.
Should I spell that?
Spell it.
CHACONSAL.
Excellent. And then do you promise to come back after
I would love
some
to.
episodes of air and we can talk about our predictions?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would love that.
That'd
be
love to have
great.
you back.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm Linda So Girly all across social media. You can hit me up with all of your reactions and you can definitely comment below in YouTube. I read them and I will sporadically reach back out to you. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Thank you.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.